Welcome to Take the Lead Radio with Dr. Diane Hamilton, where she interviews some of the most successful leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and other individuals who will inspire you to take the lead in your career and personal life. And now, here is Dr. Diane Hamilton.
I am here with Hellicy Ngambi, who is the first female vice chancellor at a public university in Zambia. It's so nice to have you here, Hellicy. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Diana. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you today because our good friend, Dr. Maya Zelahich, has been on my show, and she had wonderful things to say about you, as did Jeff Bordas, who's been on my show. And they have told me what an impressive background that you have to be the first female vice chancellor in Zambia. That's a pretty big deal. And I think a lot of people would like to know more about what led to you being able to be the first female vice chancellor. I mean, how did you get to that level that you were able to achieve that?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Diana. I really appreciate that you can invite me on your show. And the wonderful, kind, I really am humbled. Well, in terms of me becoming the first vice chancellor, I really did not plan on becoming the first vice chancellor. It just happened that I have been working in various institutions, both in Zambia, Botswana, South Africa, and even the US. And with a dream, yes, to at one day become a vice chancellor. That dream was there. So I was just working with University of South Africa on mentorship programs to ensure that I can provide the leadership that is required and also mentor other people to become the best they can ever be. So in doing that, I had a quest for leadership, to understand what is leadership, what it's all about, how do you lead other people, how do you mentor others. And so I started studying and reading and working with one major emphasis: how can I add value in whatever I do? So whatever I was doing, my quest was to add value. How can I help another person become the best they can ever be? So in doing that, I started studying, working towards becoming a leader, but also leading others to become leaders, and ended up in positions, different positions, especially University of South Africa, where I ended up becoming an executive dean of one of the largest colleges in that university, with a student population of 200,000. And also the members of staff that were reporting to me, about almost 1,000, that was 995 or about there, to be specific, that were in my college. So I started then, doing the best that I could to ensure that our college at University of South Africa delivers in empowering, especially Africans, not just in South Africa, but on the continent, to learn, to come to go to school, to go to the university, especially because open distance learning model that University of South Africa uses. So in doing that, I believe that that's what probably also helped me to also become one of the Africans appointed on the American Council Education Program, because they had never taken people from Africa to come to the US on an SCE program. So I was one of the 4 out of the 52 that were chosen to come to the US. And I was sent to Willamette University, and I shadowed Pelton Lee. And from that, I think I gained also more experience what it meant to be the president of a university, because Lee Patton was then the president of Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. So I was there about a year or so. So I think all that helped me to end up becoming the vice chancellor. When they advertised the position in Zambia, I applied and competed with about 10 people.
Wow.
And the rest is history. So here I am. Sorry, I've spoken for so long. But yeah, so here I am as vice chancellor. Actually, I just got really humbled when I received the letter from the minister saying, congratulations for being the first female vice chancellor of a public university in Zambia, a country that has been independent at that time, about 50 years of independence. So it was humbling for me. But thank you very much.
Well,
I hope I've answered that part of the question.
No, yes, it was very interesting, you know, and I'm interested in the background that you have, because I've heard some stories of some interesting things that you've done. What comes to mind is an article I saw, I think it was maybe in Forbes, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but they were talking about how you stand up for yourself. You stand up for what's right, and you challenged the University of Zambia's policy of providing faculty housing to married men, but not to married women. And I read the note you wrote to them to address your concern, and it was really nicely written. And I loved how you appealed to their sense of logic. Can you tell a little bit about that story?
Okay, no, that story I can tell indeed. The University of Zambia had policies. At that time, like I was saying, I worked at the University of Zambia. In fact, my first academic career as faculty, I lectured or taught at the University of Zambia. It was then University of Zambia Ndola campus. Now it's called Copperbelt University, but it was University of Zambia. They had policies that maybe there are two stories actually that go together, but let me start with that one. There were policies that in terms of accommodation, we can only give accommodation to married men, not married women. If you're a married woman, you must go and live with your husband. We cannot, whether you're a lecturer, you are teaching the same, you're at the same level lecturing or teaching with your male counterparts, but you, if you are female, no accommodation. A male counterpart, for me, my husband had just been transferred somewhere else. So he didn't have a house anywhere nearby. So I thought, okay, since they are telling me that I must first be, my husband must have accommodation, I'll just follow their instructions without fighting. I'm not violent. So I decided to write to them and say, thank you very much for your response to my request for accommodation. I appreciate it. And that you recognize me as a married woman. Thank you for recognizing me. So since I'm married, and you know I have marital duties, I'm supposed to cook for my husband, I'm supposed to wife, take care of my children and do all those things. So I'm also asking you that from now onwards, I will no longer be coming to work at 8, because I have to first cook for my husband, and thereafter I'll leave work around 11 so I can go and prepare lunch for my husband. And then I can only be at work certain number of hours because I am a married woman, which you have recognized. So I must take care of my husband. So I thank you very much for letting me know that you cannot accommodate as a married woman and act as a married woman. So I'll no longer be lecturing a certain hours because I'll be attending to my husband and children as a married woman. So then after they looked at that, and I said, I also said, I can no longer teach 5 courses, or was it 4 courses or something? I can only teach 2 courses as a result of being a married woman. So thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. And so And I wrote that letter and I gave it to them and put on my door. I wrote the office hours door, and those office hours were only relating to the time that I indicated in the letter. Office hours for Ngambi move, I was moved. So 9 to 11. That's all.
Great.
And after that, then they responded and just gave me the keys to the house and they allocated me the house. So that was the first one. I mean, the second one. That was after I'd come back to teach. The first one was when going now to study and in Ball State University, Indiana. I got a scholarship. All along, the policy was that if you get a scholarship, you can go with your spouse, you can go with your husband, let me put it down. You can go with your wife, not husband. You can go with your wife. All the forms said, if you got a scholarship, you can go with your wife. So when I was going, I said, well, I asked my husband if he would like to come with me. He said, yeah, sure, why not? I think I would like to come with you. I said, okay. So I went to them, I said, oh, my husband wants to come with me. Then they said, are you mad? Are you out of your mind? Your husband to come with you? All the forms say, and his wife. There is no form that says, and her husband. So you can't go with your husband. So I said, how can that be? When I come back, I'm going to teach the same as men are going to teach. I'm going on a scholarship to do my postgraduate studies like men are doing. They can go with their spouses. I can't go with mine. They said, no, because the forms don't say that. But long story short, again, I said, in that case, then it means you don't need me to go on this program to come and teach. Because if you valued my teaching, you would allow me as well to go with my spouse. So we went again in some other negotiations of some kind. Eventually, they agreed, and my husband accompanied me to Ball State University, Indiana. Wow. So again, that was the first. It was the first that anybody had gone with their husband. A woman had gone with their husbands for studies. So those were the major two. Maybe I would say ceiling of barriers in terms of that regard.
Well, you really have a proactive way of dealing with issues that maybe other people would be afraid to focus on, because things have always been a certain way. And I like your strength that you just question, why does it have to be this way? And it seems like they understand it because you put it in such a logical way that it doesn't seem to offend them that you want it to make changes. It makes them open up their minds to why does it have to be done that way? I love the way you do that. That's unique. And a lot of people would just go along.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. No, thank you.
I'm interested in
Sorry?
I'm interested in your philosophy that you referred to as RARE for leadership. You said that leadership should be responsible, accountable, relevant, and ethical. And if those are your values for leadership,
yes.
How did you come up with that? Is that your own philosophy or is that somebody else's philosophy you follow? I'm just curious.
No, I actually came up with that philosophy. Mm-hmm. And that philosophy started like something from my wanting to go and do. When I was doing my second master's degree, I was doing it at University of South Florida. That's where I was doing it, in leadership and organizational effectiveness. And the reason I was doing that was questions I was having in my mind. And one of the questions was something to do with my continent. To say, look, wait a minute. Africa is one of the richest continents in terms of minerals, in terms of the natural resources. Actually, I think when I did my research, I could see that we provide, I think, the majority of the resources as a continent to sustain the global village. We have got rich resources. So I said, but why are we so poor? A continent so rich in resources that sustains, most of them in terms of the global village, be so poor in every aspect of their life. So then I started trying to study. And in my studies, I discovered that I think we have debased the value systems. We rank, I'm not being Afro-pessimist, but in terms of my study, I was focusing on what we as the continent could do as Africa. So I felt our value systems were lacking, and that somehow something was missing in this on all this. And in the missing link, the leadership missing link was the values. It was not that people were not incompetent. I mean, it was not that people are not competent, or it was not that people are not intelligent. They were intelligent, competent, but there was something missing, and that was the value system. So as I was studying and trying to look and research and say, what is, then I realized, wait a minute, people are not responsible for themselves even, and for whoever they interact with. They are not accountable for the decision they make, the choices, and to themselves and even to the people they interact with. They're not relevant. They're not adding. Their aim is not to add value, to be relevant in whatever they are doing, but just to see how much they can get for themselves. And then they are not ethical in their conduct. So as I was looking, and I coined that rare. To say they are not rare. They are not responsible, accountable, relevant, and ethical. Because if you are a responsible person, you cannot go about wanting to kill another person, wanting to steal from another person, wanting to cheat another person. If you are accountable for your actions and your decisions, you cannot want to steal, kill a person or something else. If you are relevant, wanting to add value, you would not want to do something that would add value. You would want to add value. So you can't destroy another person. If you are ethical in your conduct, most of the things that are happening, that you are weighed, and your behavior would be integrated. So you would be able to sustain whatever it is you do. You would not want to steal, to amass wealth for yourself if you're in a leadership, or to try and destroy other people in your leadership. You'd want to build them. So that's how we coined the value system, to say, you must be responsible, accountable, relevant, and ethical. But furthermore, I said, I think you must lead in totality. You must lead with the head, the heart, and the hands. So with the head, you have got your intellect. With your heart, you apply emotional intelligence and everything else. You are able to empower others to be, better than they can ever be, by also leading by example. So you must balance in totality. That's why I call that rare leadership, leading with the rare total leadership, leading with the head, heart, and hands. So in terms of the value system, the rare values as a group that will make you sustain whatever it is that you do, if you are going to succeed, and also make sure that whatever you do, other people can gain out of it and become the best they can ever be, and also sustain their careers, sustain their entrepreneurship, whatever it is they are doing, that people should be able to know, this is somebody I can trust and depend on to help develop, sustain, even development. So that is how we call it the rare value system, which fortunately my university, when I talk to them about it and explain to them the importance of it, my board, my council of the university approved that, said, no, these are the value systems we want to implement at Murungushi University. So at Murungushi University, we say we are rare.
Well, I love that. And culture comes from above. And I love that you're institutionalizing that, because it's so important. And you have some other things that you've included that I thought were interesting. I don't know if you say it UNISA or UNISA, but you introduced UNISA. You introduced
yes.
a required course called Sustainability and Greed for all students
yes.
In the College of Economics and Management Sciences. What is that? And I want to teach
yes.
that. Sounds really fun. But I think it's important.
Okay, that course.
I want to hear about it.
Yes, that course, Sustainability and Greed. That course, yes, we call it a signature course. Just like, you see, in fact, we introduced RARE. I introduced RARE
right.
At UNISA, in the College of Economic and Management Sciences. So they are also, applying, that's why I introduced it. Then when I came here, I also introduced that. So at UNISA, that was our signature course, to say, look, as the College of Economic and Management Sciences, we realized that even in terms of, the economic that happened, it was because there was greed there, and there was some challenge with sustainability. So let's introduce a course that will be talking to each and every our 200,000 students in our college as a compulsory course to teach them that if you are irresponsible, if you are just going in it for greed, me, I, and myself, and if not think of anybody else, you will not sustain yourself. Because even leadership without followers is no leadership. So if you don't create yourself, you not create value in those people who should support you, you will have no followers, then you will not sustain your leadership if you become greedy. So to sustain it, you must be able to know that whatever you're doing, you're not compromising anybody, and you're not compromising yourself. You're not using shortcuts, which will cut you short, but you will be able to ensure that whatever you're doing is above board, effective of everybody. So that's how we say, let's come up with this course, the sustainability and greed as a signature course that all our students will take, and hopefully out of that they will learn that to avoid, to never ever do what our friends did to bring the whole world economy almost to its knees because of the aspects of greed.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really fast. I love the title,
yes,
because I think.
But that same course.
What's that?
Yes.
Well, I
was saying we also have introduced a similar course at Mulungushi University.
Okay.
Now this one is a university-wide. It's a signature course called Ethics and Sustainable Behavior in Society. That's what we call it at Mulungushi University. It's a signature course, it's Ethics and Sustainable Behavior in Society. And in that, we include teaching rare values, non-violent communication, and how to resolve conflicts and all that, things like ethical. And so all that is packaged in that course to help people build a value system that is appropriate and acceptable and sustainable at the end of the day.
Well, I think that's
really all the university.
Yeah. Well, I've taught a lot of ethics courses, and but I think what you bring in is some aspects that I haven't seen in some of the ethics courses I've taught, and I think it's really important. I love that you combine that. I love the title to get people interested, and I think that you mentioned, is it Mulungushi? How do you say that? I want to make sure I say that properly.
Mulungushi, at Mulungushi University, where I am.
Okay, so
Mulungushi University.
Now that's one of 3 public universities in Zambia. It previously was a college where you are, right? And in Zambia's higher education only takes in 5,000 students per year. Is that true? I mean, how do you determine how many people?
Well, so far there isn't really a limit as to the number of students that you can have. My university has got 6,000 students. My Mulungushi University now has got 6,000 students.
Okay.
We are aiming for about 10,000 students, including open distance learning. So we have half of those students on residential and half are on open distance learning model.
Okay, so I've taught a lot of the open learning distance kind of education along with Dr. Maya Zelahich, and I know that she is a Fulbright specialist now, and she's coming out to do a project with my former, my dean that I've worked with at the Forbes School of Business, Bob, has joined her, and Mr. Bob Dougherty is the dean at the Forbes School of Business, and Maya is program chair for the MAOM at the Forbes School of Business, and they're coming out to do a project hosted in December. I kind of want to know what that's all about, and what will you be doing with Mr. Dougherty and Dr. Zelahich at your event? What is this all about?
Well, this is about empowering basically 21st leadership, global leaders. And so we're really excited that Bob and Maya, they are coming to Mulungushi University. We are really excited about it. Yes, they are both Fulbright scholars, and we are going to have like seminar kind of workshop. So that will be leaders, top management, top management, middle management, as well as students, educational leaders, and all that, to just interact with them and build that capacity to understand that, yes, in as much as we don't want necessarily you to copy, styles from the West, but you see what you can learn from them if there's anything, then you try to use it, to localize it for the African continent. And also exchange, what is it that we have in Africa that also people elsewhere can also benefit from. For example, what they're going to be talking a lot about, leadership, the female leaders, how you are able to excel as a female leader. In terms of education, you are responsible for teaching so many people. How are you going to be able to build your capacity for the future and all that? It's all really a wonderful program that forward to, but it really is going to be engaging. And then we'll also have a round table kind of and we have got one of the top people joining us. That is the secretary to the cabinet, is the highest civil servant, we call them. That is, reports directly to the president. So he's also going to be there on the second day among the panelists, just to answer certain questions and interact with everybody else, and also, to learn from each other and build up, see how best we can be able to develop our country, Zambia, to a level it ought to be. Because we really believe that Zambia at this time should not be where it is right now. We should have been very much developed, but we need just to put it together and say how best can we governize our resources, human resources, our intellect, everything that we have, and plus what we have learned elsewhere, to build up a Zambia that is sustainable, that becomes hopefully a developed country as well. That's, we hope for that.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course we want Mulungushi University to be also one of the major contributors, because at the end of the day, universities are the engine rooms for knowledge, innovations, and all that. So we want our Mulungushi University to be such one. And we are in a very beautiful, serene environment, so we believe we can do that.
Well, both Bob Dougherty and Maya Zelahich are, as you said, Fulbright specialists, and so that should be an amazing event to have them come in and share their knowledge. I know I've done some research with Maya, and she is really so impressive. And I know you deal with Jeff Bordas and his group, and he's been on the show, and he's impressive. And I'm looking at all the people who have told me about what you've done, and they all have just amazing stories about you. And Maya asked me when I talked to her about you, I said, well, what's an interesting thing about Hellicy? And she said, have her tell you a compelling story about when she was a kid and had to swim across the river to get to school. I'm very curious to hear that story. Did you have to swim across the river to get to school?
Okay, that is true. To get to school?
Yes.
Yes. You see, I come from a place very local, a village, with no amenities like we take for granted now. You have got electricity, you have got running water in houses. The village I grew up in did not have all those things, and up to now, electricity is still not there. So to go to school, we unfortunately, there is a big river, and so we had to cross that river, but also walk of almost, was it 30 or something kilometers to go to school. It was a weekly boarding school. So you come, you go on Sunday, you take all your food, you take the food that you're going to use for that week. As a child, you take your maize meal or your corn meal, you take your dried beans, you take your dried vegetables, you take your own beddings. That beddings, by the way, it means a cloth, a small mat. And so you go on a Sunday. When you go to that school, you cook for yourself. You go to school, you go and fetch firewood from the bush to cook for yourself, as well as water, because there's no running water and there's no electricity. So even at night, when you want to study, you have to use paraffin and make a kind of a lamp with a cloth. But to do that, to go to school for those years, we had this big another obstacle of the river. This was a very wide river, a big river. So what happens is that if you want to go to school, you have to cross that river, but if it rains somewhere else at where the river comes from, you are in the middle of the river, the water can just come. And if you are not able to swim, because it comes with so much force, it can sweep you away. So I lost some of my friends in that river. They died because they were maybe not able to be strong enough, struggling with your food on your head, with your things to go and survive for the week. The water is coming and strong, it's likely to sweep you. And so we lost some people in that river. And then you see, you go on Sunday, you come back on Friday to replenish what you are going to be eating. So it was a little bit hectic, yes. So that is the river that I think Maya and Jeff, two wonderful people that I've known in my life, two wonderful leaders that I've known. We were sharing, and so I was telling them one of these days I should take them to my village and show them the river I used to cross. So most of the people were stopped, and most of the parents stopped their girl child from going to school because it was
say that again. It was just too dangerous?
Dangerous.
Yeah.
They stopped them from going to school. Yeah, it was too dangerous because these are a girl child, trying to struggle to cross. It was dangerous for a girl child. So the parents would stop them and say, we'll just get married. But my dad said, look, it's up to you. If you want to stop and be like Grandma so-and-so, or we want to risk and become better. So I chose to risk it so that I can become better in life and maybe help my parents, which I did. So that is how, in terms of that story, that is how my beginnings. So I think they also helped me maybe to survive a lot of things because I went through a very, very, very hard beginning as a child, and not knowing that if I died in that river, up to today, Zambia would not be having a first female vice chancellor. If I'd given up that day to say I'm not going to, and Zambia would not be having a female vice chancellor in the public universities. So sometimes, you look back and you say, well, I thank God I persevered to this level. At least now I can start now mentoring other women, mentoring other girls, helping them, inspiring them to become the best they can be and not to give up irrespective of the obstacles they face in life.
That's such an inspiring story. I mean, how old were you at that time when you're doing that?
Oh my word, I was about 7, 8, yeah.
That's just, to have that kind of a drive at such a young age, to know you wanted to be better and to succeed it's kind of interesting to me, just from my research, because I research curiosity and what gives people drive and motivation. And so it sounds like your father helped open up that world for you. He gave you that option to explore if you wanted to and not be held back.
Yes.
So do you credit your father or your parents or your family with developing a sense of curiosity in you, or have you always been a very curious, driven kind of person?
No, my dad really helped me. My dad had, he was also a village man. He was really, he's the one who really pushed me. He would say, he would even kind of motivate us. This might sound very funny, but at that time in the village, my dad would say, he would teach you. He would say, look, if you pass very well, say for example, you are top of the class, I'll give you a chicken. You can decide whether to eat that chicken. You can decide either to eat it up or to keep it so that you can have eggs and have more chicken. He would say it's your decision. So from that early age, I started learning. By that time, I think I was about 9 or 10, to say, okay, so if I keep this chicken, I'm in a hen, it will have eggs and I'll have more chickens. And so I can actually then come and eat more chickens and sell some and have some money to take to school and buy the little things, in the village, in the school, the rural village where the school was. So he really was one of the major, reasons that I think I am here, because he really inspired, he really pushed me to the limit and say, you can do this. He kept on saying, it's up to you, but you can do it. It's up to you. You can do it. But he also gave me that sense of equipping me to make my own decisions, even as a girl child at that early age. So that helped me a lot as well. So I really do give, I acknowledge my parents and my mother who would walk, because there was no, especially when I went now to high school from primary school, so I had now to go by bus. So we didn't have a lot of money. So we had to be selling things, to be able to, you have the modern drinks, as you have local drinks that you would make, brew, and then sell and make some money so that I can have transport. So my mom would travel, go and look for, maybe go and sell maybe peanuts, or you say peanuts as ground nuts. Would go and sell them so that we can have money for me, transport money for me to travel to go to school. That was now going to high school, to grade 8 and 9 and 10 and up. So it was struggles. I think I only started becoming a little bit better at the time when now my elder brother was now able to come and help my parents. When he had finished now his school, I was settled, is working, rather than that is Mr. Ngambi now helping me. But before that, it was really hectic. Yeah.
That's got to be quite, okay, you said something that was interesting. You mentioned your father did this for you as a girl child. You used the word girl before child. Was there a difference in how parents treated their boys versus their girls in terms of teaching them when you were growing up what they were capable of achieving?
Yes, there was. The boys were pushed. The boys were telling, you can do this because you're a boy.
Right.
The girls, because you're supposed to be weak. You are supposed to be weak, and also you can get married, and you can, by getting married, your parents can get, dowry. Dowry.
Right.
When you get married, they give financial care. They'll give cows or cattle,
right,
or bulls or something like
something
so
of value, give, right?
Yeah, something of to our parents. So the parents can easily say push their daughter to get married, so that they can be able to get rich at that time. Or so, well, it's more, they say tradition, but at the end of the day, it's the tradition, but it enriched the parents by the money marrying and giving, So quite a number of people did not see the importance of a girl going that far. After all, she's going to get married anyway, so she may as well get married now, and I get my dowry. Whereas the boy must go on, because then he will be the one who will be able to take care of the family as a man, and getting educated, whatever. So in that time, it was mostly boys that were pushed to go for school, rather than girls. So now it's changing, but at that time it was mostly the boys, the sons to go to school rather than the daughters. But my parents really, I think, helped me to break that barrier, to say, you can do that, and you can go. They would like I'm saying, they would tell me, do you want to look like Grandma so-and-so? And the Grandma so-and-so would not be looking that nice, with not a small house, a small hut, and they would point at that, you want to be like that or not? If not, my dad would say, then go for it, take a risk. So that's why I credit my parents, yes, for that.
That's interesting, because in sales, I was in sales my whole life, and we would paint a picture for somebody if we were trying to sell them something, right? And so your father is doing that. He's painting a picture in your mind. This is what your future will be like. This is what your future could be like.
Yes.
And I love that they opened up that world for you, because you don't, I think there's people ahead of their time sometimes. I've had Roya Maboob on my show, who was the first, voted by Time magazine as one of the most influential people in the world. And I think her family supported her to get education to women in Afghanistan. And you're doing similar things with what you're doing in Africa to open up a world in a way that women haven't seen, education. So I know you're trying to do more with online education, and I'm wondering what the challenges are that you have to reach people in Africa. I was at an event, and I think Maya was hosting a panel actually, where they were talking about you know, cloud first, like skipping all the things and having everything in the cloud before having to go through all these other motions. But then I don't know if you have the hardware available to actually connect to get everything up to the cloud, you know, in Africa, because they don't have, I don't know if they have the stations or whatever the term is to be able to get everything electronic and up into the cloud. Are you having any issues with trying to offer online education in Africa, or is it just as easy as anywhere else? Is it, what are your unique problems there?
Well, I think our major unique challenges is the infrastructure. For example, the connectivity in terms of electricity,
right,
which when we are out there in the US, we take it for granted.
Right.
So that is the challenge, because not all places have got you know, electricity. So as a result of that, it's difficult that somebody might, or everybody will be able to access the online education. But now it's getting better. Our government, our Zambian government, has actually got a strategy to reach out to the most rural areas. So they are now, even in terms of the road system, the road infrastructure, they are working on that to make sure that, you know, even the rural areas can be reached. And they are also working on giving electricity to all the rural areas. We are not yet there, but at least there's a strategy now in place that will help. So that's one of the challenges. I think is more infrastructure that has been a challenge to reach out to the rural. We really would like to, but it's far much better now than it was before, or at least in my time when I was still to the rural areas and to show them with the Astria Learning EduTabs. Now we can try to say if we can manage to put material on the EduTab, even if they are not online, they can be able to study with the EduTabs as long as they are able to get a battery and charge the EduTab. So we are partnering with Astria Learning in that regard. Jeff is really helping, really helping to help us, to reach out. So that's what I'm saying. This is a wonderful partnership with Astria Learning, where Dr. Botts, is really helping us. And now we are getting a giant also on our team, Dr. Maya, who is coming with the know-how, and then you know how Dr. Maya, when she goes for something, she delivers. Yes, I just love her. She's a wonderful, hardworking person. So I've got these two people that really I believe that will really help us as on the continent to go far. And like right now, Astria Learning have even sponsored some students. Have given scholarships to some students at our university. They've called the scholarship the Hellicy Ngambi scholarship because of the same story, to support students who are smart but underprivileged. So it's the smart and the underprivileged that Astria Learning through Jeff Botts are supporting or helping. So there are people out there that are really helping us to walk that extra mile to build this continent to become what it can be. And with me specifically, Zambia right now, my heart is just wants to do something like to help the smart and the underprivileged not miss out to what they can be or how they can contribute to the development of this particular nation and the continent of Africa.
So now that you're the Vice Chancellor, is there a period of time that this lasts, that you're in this position, and or is it's up to you, and what's the next step? What would you do after this?
I don't know yet, but anyway, no, this one is only 2 terms.
Oh,
the Vice Chancellor is like president. It's only 2 terms.
Okay.
I'm in my 2nd term now. I'm remaining with about 2 years, 8 months. I'm well, 2 years, no, 2 years, no, 2 years, 10 months, about 2 years, 10 months to go for me in this particular position. Otherwise, yes, it's only 2 terms. My first 5 years, 5 years, 2 terms only. And thereafter, I'm thinking of just going to consultants and follow my passion, move around, talk to people about the values and how they can be able to improve in their lives and become the best they can ever be. So that's what my thinking is once my two years and 10 months are over. That's what, but we'll see then, anything can happen in that time. But so far, I really would like to see how I can help and uplift, the underprivileged who are smart out there, especially like I'm saying, especially the girl child out there, so that really we can claim our space, where we can contribute equally, because it's a waste of resources. If 50% or 52% of your resources, what is the female, are not being utilized, it's a waste of resource. You cannot develop any nation to its best if you don't use half of your resources. In this case, the female. So we really, it's not even just a nice thing to do. It's an economic imperative to make sure that our females develop as much as our male children do to sustain our future. So that is my passion.
Well, that's an unbelievable goal, and I think it's really important. And right now you're dealing with women at a certain age, because once they get to the university level, they're a certain age. What do you think needs to be done at a younger age? Do you have any plans for reaching out to younger individuals, or are you always going to work with the higher education?
Well, at the younger level, this is what I've been doing. At the younger level, I go to schools, to primary schools, secondary schools, to talk to them.
Oh, you do?
To talk to them and just, to just talk. So whenever I can, if I go to do something else in a place and I go to a school, I try to talk to them about the children, about the importance of, education, the importance of being persistent, the importance of, wanting to become what you have dreamed to become without any hindrance, going over the hurdles. Don't look at the hurdle as something that hinders you, but as a building block to the best that you can ever be. So when you get an obstacle in life, don't think that is the end of your life. Just look at it as a learning moment that will help you to improve, to become better once you overcome it. Just find means and ethical ways, I always tell them, and ethical ways to address it and go over it and do it. So my passion is really, you have got the ability, you have got it in you to become what you want to become and the best that you can ever be. So I talk to the young ones now in schools whenever I have a chance. I want to intensify now in my last time now. I really want to intensify talking to the young ones and also as I'm talking to the universities, but also to the young ones at primary school and secondary school. So our primary school is from grade 1 to grade 7. Our secondary school is from grade 8 to grade 12. Those are secondary school. So I try to do both at both levels, yes. And also I'm building people who can also carry that to other people. So I'm mentoring a group of people in terms of who we ought to be and what we should be doing, so that it's not just me spreading this, but also the ones that I'm mentoring can also go elsewhere and also the same message of encouraging others and our children and our future leaders to become what they ought to be, their best.
Well, and I think that's really important. And I think that, you're hitting people in college level, so they're going to be having children. So you're ensuring that it's coming down through that way, and you're going to the to the primary and secondary school. So you're hitting it from all angles. And I think that that's really important. And I think now that you're having people like Bob and Maya come in and share their knowledge, I'm curious, what is it you want to learn from them that you can't get in Africa, that you think being a Fulbright specialist can add to what you're already doing?
Sorry, are you good?
Okay. I'm curious so now that you have Maya and Bob Dougherty, Maya Zella-Hitch and Bob Dougherty are coming in to be Fulbright specialists and share some information with your school when they come there, what can you get from us in the United States, Fulbright specialists and other people into Africa what are you hoping to achieve from them coming there?
Well, I mean, the interaction, the exposure as well for them, for our people here, the exposure that, these people are Fulbright scholars. Yes, we may not be Fulbright scholars because it's an American one, but we can be some kind of a Fulbright scholar in our own context, even in terms of the Zambian context. Right. So if they see people like that, they see people knowledgeable, the competences, the way that they are, articulating what the research they have done and they share, it motivates them to become the best they can ever be. So, so there's better than this. It's just they must discover that there's better than what they are. There's better than this. There's better than the current. They must discover that. And I think that will really enrich them and motivate them to learn more, to gain more knowledge and to become better than what they are right now, than their current status. And start questioning the status quo as well, so that they can rise up the ladder in terms of knowledge and competences and attitudes and behaviors and become the Fulbrights of Africa, so to say.
Right. Well, if somebody in Africa is listening to this and they want to attend, is this open to outside the university, or is this just, where is this event and how do people find out more about this?
When people, if people want to come here, they can. The event is in, we call it Mulungushi University. It's in Kabwe. It's about 140 kilometers from Lusaka. So it's in Kabwe. It's in the middle of Copperbelt and Lusaka. So it's about 140 kilometers, and it's at Mulungushi University itself, in our modern conference. And we are we are basically in Kabwe. The place is called Kabwe, Kabwe, Kabwe. So it's Mulungushi University, Kabwe.
Okay.
That's where we are. So they can contact us. They can go to our website, Mulungushi University. It will be there. We are going to, if it's not there, I'll check, but it should be there.
Okay, so they go to the Mulungushi University website and they can find out more.
Yes.
Okay. And this is in December of 2018. You're going to be doing this soon, and looking forward to hearing about how it goes, because I know everybody associated now have been on the show, and I'm really excited to hear about the progress you're making. And Lisa, you are such an inspiration. I can see why Maya has spoken so highly of you, and thank you for sharing your stories and all that you're doing to make education better for everybody in Africa and everywhere else. And I really enjoyed having you on the show. Is there anything else you'd like to share in terms of websites or anything, or is that the main website that you want to share? I'm happy to share anything you'd like.
No, I think that's the main website. It's our www.mu, that's for Mulungushi University, .ac.zm. But if Mulungushi University will come up, just Googling Mulungushi University, the whole information will come.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it, and I really thank you so much. I really am humbled by your invitation on your this esteemed show. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much to you, as well as to the colleagues who told you about me, Jeff Bolts and Maya. I really say thank you I extend my gratitude to them as well. I'm really humbled, and thank you. Thank you.